I was going over some of my notes this morning, even some of the older ones, and I ran across this quote from Darth. And what's interesting about his claims or whatever he says about his worldview is that according to his own worldview, if it's true, he cannot know anything. Now, I'm going to play a couple clips of how that is so. But first, I want to talk about this little game that he plays. He talks about knowledge versus belief. You've heard him say knowledge is a subset of belief. So he always switches back and forth depending on, I guess, whatever mood he's in. But he likes to switch back and forth. So I'm going to play a couple clips. Here they are.
Okay, what is the definition of agnosticism as you are using it?
That has to deal with knowledge. It's a position of not making a knowledge claim.
Okay, is it the suspension of judgment?
Yes.
Okay, so when you say agnostic atheism or agnostic atheist, either one, you're saying I'm suspending judgment,
Well, the first one's dealing with belief, and the second one's dealing with knowledge.
Okay, listen to me. Let's stop playing these little games. Knowledge is a subset of belief.
Okay, so there you heard him say that. Knowledge is a subset of belief. Okay, so now, going back to what I said earlier, this is a smokescreen, or it's actually a total sham, because it doesn't matter whether knowledge is a subset of belief or vice versa. It doesn't matter either way, according to Darth himself. Now, I'm going to show you why. Here's one clip.
Yeah, well, heretic, my starting point is I am presuming that the Christian God exists and he has revealed himself in the Bible.
Do you have any rationale for actually having that starting point that allows you to actually take forward this argument?
Yeah, that's my starting point.
Well, as a properly based belief, is that what you're saying?
Well, one among several reasons is if I do not start with that starting point, then I will not actually be able to know things.
Okay, so you heard what he said. He said that if he does not start from that starting point, that he presumes God, he cannot know things. So that's where he has to start, according to what he just said. Otherwise, he can't know things. Now, listen to this.
Before we can discuss God or anything else, you have to understand that there are certain rules of thinking.
Okay, so do you see the quagmire that he's got himself into? Because on one hand, he's saying that in order for him to know, he's saying he cannot know anything unless he actually starts with God. That would have to be his starting point. Otherwise, he cannot know things. But then he turns around and he says, before we can start with God, you have to understand that there are certain rules of thinking. So, let me get this straight. He's saying that the starting point has to be God, and that if he doesn't start there, he cannot know things. But he's also saying that before we can discuss God or anything else, we have to go over the rules of thinking, which I guess we cannot know because we're not starting with God. Okay, makes perfect sense.